There we go. It should be working. Uh, Bit of a bolter angle tonight's stream. Hold on. Now, hello, chat one. Here in Chile. Of course, you're the first one.
I mean, I'm a mod. Of course, I have to be the first one.
No audio. Check 1, 2. No, check. Hmm. Check 1, 1. Check 1, 1, 2. There. Can I be heard? Is there audio? Nothing. How about now, chat? Is everything working? No, doubling of the voice. Okay, music's there, but oh well. There we go. Lucky Mori. Now, where were we? Anyway. Vesper, obviously. Prince Kino, ISB, and C. Maximus. Nord. Good afternoon from the West Coast. I just got back from dropping on cookies and boss for her birthday. I see. No dear problem. Nah, I was just troubleshooting something else. Don't worry about it. Alright, that's working. I'm doing good. I'm doing great. How about you? Would you look at that? So close to the year ending, or almost there, champ. How are you this afternoon? I'm doing alright. How's the rice reptile? I thought you said wise, I was feeling flattered for half a second. I'm doing okay. I was trying to sort my second plumbing problem, but that can wait until tomorrow. It's making a water reservoir for my drinking stuff. Hello, Spades. I'm doing okay. Oh, whoa. I completely forgot to rename that. Give me a moment. Why is my goal still thigh highs? That's gonna have to change. Alright, so I go here, text settings. Last. Happy New Year. Set this to. There we go. It's fantastic. And then save. How obnoxious. Sorry. Is it fixed? Is it updated? There we go. Much better. Anywho, back to getting our stream on a roll. We have Vesper here joining us today. Yes, she's been absent during the past streams because of work and the reasons. And yeah, that's pretty much it. gosh, Chan. Can you imagine? Tomorrow is going to be New Year. It's 2026, just around the corner. By tomorrow, I mean in my time zone, because it's the 31st here already. 3 a.m.
Technically here too. Just got to get past the. Well, today here, tomorrow, New Year's Eve. And yeah.
Right. Yeah, that's that. Okay. Camera's working. Great. I have a feeling VR chat is not VR chatting properly, aspect ratio wise. But alas, it is. What seems to be the problem? Okay. Hello, Wask. Greetings. How are you? I have 4 hours and 50 minutes left of New Year's. You are in the future, even more so than I am. 4 hours, huh? Well, pretty much closer to 5. Three 3 a.m. for me. Gotcha. Is it cold? Yes. We're currently outside. We're outside. Come on. What do you think it's not cold? We only have this crummy little fire in front of us for warmth. Hello, Salas. Nice to see you.
I mean, hey, at least this guy's got warm clothes.
That's true. You and your That's okay. It balances out how hot you are. I made a pun. The ripple of explosions already has begun to circle the Earth, aka fireworks. Isn't that fun?
Oh.
If you're going to look at it from orbit, just pop, 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 right? Every hour. Oh, unfortunately, you cannot do fireworks in your neighborhood, right?
No, but people still set them off.
Same here. I think it's one of those things
Also,
that people just overlook, not a
Yeah.
stickler for the rules.
Mhm.
Oh,
well, also like we have certain fireworks banned in the state I'm living in as well.
okay, like what?
So we also have a lot of people smuggling fireworks from one state into another. I've never quite
Ow!
looked into it, but
I remember you told me they just drive through the
Yeah.
border and then the cops are just parked knowing
yeah.
that.
like
Holy furry, it's been a while.
gosh, what was it? That one? No, it was. I am so bad with names. I feel so bad, but the blue dog-nosed moonfang. He brought it up first because he's an ER nurse.
Oh, you mean Cinder, right? How apt. Cinder.
Cinder Collie, yeah, Cinder
Wow.
Collie. Not exactly sure which one of their band, but people still bring them in. So throughout New Year's Eve and New Year's Day, there's definitely going to be people up at ridiculous hours setting off fireworks.
Definitely.
Don't get me
15
wrong,
streams,
they're fun.
3. So that's an hour and a half. That's a month and a half of watching, huh? Well,
Dang, okay.
nice to have you here. You've been to what? 2 meetups now? Were you at Barcada Fur Fest this year? No, and I have no plans of attending any local fur cons. As long as there are no bombs going off, says Fluffy. I want to make a joke here, but I think it's too early in the evening. Something about the British and the bomber. Anyway. Hello, Litz. A pleasure to have you here. Would I look better if I wore my other coat? Or just have my collar down tonight. Time flies, excited for fireworks and the celebration. I too am looking forward to New Year's. Why? Because New Year's means good food. Also, hold on. Can I flip the light to the other side? Pretty far. Dang. That thing. Oh, now I'm super dark in this angle. Damn, okay, never mind. I go back to 30.
Oops.
Guess we're sticking with this. How's life in the last day of the New Year's over there? Not much, really. I was more troubleshooting stuff for my drinking system, but due to a misfitting of pipes and the lack of pressure coming from one output, I was unable to accomplish it in due time. I woke up around 2-3 hours ago. I was spending the past hour and a half trying to troubleshoot it. I said, you know what? I'm gonna be really late to stream if I try and finish it. So, yes. Are you in VR chat, Kuya? Yes. This is VR chat. Amazing platform, frankly. Fluffy knows what jokes I'm talking about. Just a little tiny bit of radiation never killed anyone.
I mean, there's small trace amounts of radiation in bananas, but you're just fine eating them.
They're super minute in amount compared to other things, yes. Let me just fix this thing I'm sitting on. Hold on. Hello? Is it? There we go. On earth, remove the pillow underneath my thing. Did you guys finish your game? No, we did not. We were like 10, 11 hours in, and yeah. Let's just say a biotic factor has a way to hook you in the game. I look forward to continuing our little scientific adventures in the facility. How about you? What's your plans this new year? Are you going back to your parents' home? Oh, lovely with that space to set off the kabooms. Unless you eat 100 bananas, but I think you'd die from the endeavor rather than the radiation. I don't think 100 bananas would physically fit in your stomach, Mr. Pascal.
Yeah, nope. Not to mention, you're more than likely to upchuck it anyways, because you can't eat that much damn banana.
We will eat lechon. Lechon is always a good culinary choice. Just don't eat too much, especially if you have cholesterol problems. Who's the creator of your avatar? That would be TokyoZilla for the base. Go to Gumroad, right? Look for the Hydra Chi. Ah, 40 million. So having a country's worth of bananas is what's needed. I see. Oh yeah. Anyway, as I was saying, I wonder if my other outfit would look better here. Alright, Batty with a more lengthy explanation. According to the internet, you'd need to eat around 10 million to 50 million bananas at once because their natural potassium 40 radioactivity, around zero point 0.1 microsieverts per banana, isn't cumulative and is far too low to be harmful, with your body excreting the excess potassium naturally. The bananas would sooner come out as you were trying to cram it in before the radiation could get to you. Not the Billy. Thanks. Starry. What's this? No. Staying here with my BS family this year, only for a little, and then we'll hop by his friend's place for a bit, because it's his birthday on the 1st. Wow, so eventful. Me? New Year's. Are we gonna eat some food and see who's online and then hoo-ha. Play, play, play. No bike, unfortunately, yet. Things are not to completion per se, but we'll get there. You sound different, probably because I was unable to figure out the app's audio settings. I wonder if my voice is too raspy or not clear. Of course, Slack sends a galaxy. Nothing but a piece of the cosmos itself. Thanks. It's a lot. Now, where were we? I might be able to hop on VR when I'm back if you guys are gonna hang out in some way. If by back meaning later after stream, sure. I plan on persisting here for a little bit. At least before hopping off, because once I hop off, it's gonna be nothing but game time.
Probably gonna be playing a lot more Abiotic Factor.
Oh, 100%. Hello, Ruben. Alright, we have a lengthy story from Pascal. Alright. Once a captain asked me for 3 bananas from a fruit bowl we keep for business class passengers. I told him I'd get back to him because we were busy. When I went back to the flight deck with just one, I said, I can only bring you 1 for now, but I'll go get you more. Just make sure not to eat it while making eye contact with the co-pilot. They both looked at me with the face of, why did you just ruin it for me? That's funny. It's always funny to poke fun at your friend. Hey man, show me how you eat your banana, your popsicle. Then you say that looks pretty gay. I like your old voice. What are you talking about? I never changed my voice. Unless there's processing happening. Hold on. Let me double check. There we go. Does things sound more better? Clear. Yeah, I got you online for once. You know, that's funny. Each time my stream goes live, there's gotta be one person that says I finally caught you again. Welcome to the stream, the full version of the clips that you probably see in social media. Your voice doesn't sound different to me. Exactly, right? Some people said, oh, you sound different. I like your old voice.
I've known this guy for nearly 2 years. His voice hasn't changed a bit.
Debbie. We found that video. That video. What video? Then Gerb found out post processing was on. You see, in the clock app, Mr. Traung, they are utterly incessant about using presets by default. I must have forgotten to turn one off. It was increasing the bass more than normal. I kind of like to have my voice more crisp, aligned to the neutral flat. Also, I meant on New Year's. New Year's would be tomorrow. I might be outside too. Probably talk with the locals by, my neighbors. Hey, what's happening? How's the chess today? Who won? Yes, I actually have neighbors, right? And they're utterly, utterly addicted to chess. So every single day outside from morning till like evening, when it gets dark, they start to pack up. They would play chess. They're so at it. They move like this, bang. Like they move, and then they hit this like clock thing. The other guy moves so fast, it sort of looked like ping pong. I wonder what if the 16 Myers-Briggs personality types as gammas. What was I? I remember doing that test a long while ago, maybe a few years, 3. I ended up as that green one, the architect. I do need to check it out again, though. Perhaps it changed.
I mean, a lot changes.
A lot
Even
has
within the
changed,
span
hasn't
of months,
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Let's
same
relegate
crowd of
this to
friends
the
you could
best
have been
friend.
around 1 year could be a different one that you, well,
Yeah.
you could be around a whole entire new group of friends. To say the least.
That's true.
You never know. You never really know.
Better. Is this good? Or should it be front? There we go. The good old Skyrim camera cut.
Stop. You violated the law.
Something like that, Bachi. Also, chat, this is Vesper for those of you that don't know. She's not only my partner in crime, she is also the moderator of the stream. So if you misbehave, she's to blame, not me. If you get banned. Okay, enough of that. They're gonna start painting a target on your back if you have that any longer. Pro chess players are somehow intimidating, says Salis. That's true. They were just moving so fast. Normally, when I play chess, I would stare and pretend I know what I'm doing, right? Like, right. Clap. I have no sense of strategy in chess at all. But yes, Red Note, huh? I'm surprised you're here. I really, really wish I could stream to my Chinese community. There's so many beautiful, lovely people that I wish I could reach. But unfortunately, Bilibili and Red Note itself, I cannot access the platform when it comes to lives. I need more documentation than I actually have. Vesper's the law. Correct, she is. Absolutely. What's your VR setup? It's so fluid. It is. Well, nothing fancy. Quest Pro. I'm a decent enough computer. She'll bonk any misbehaving people. Absolutely. Ruthless. I like playing chess every time I have some free time. Right? You play chess with somebody that's totally not a letter J. So tell me, what is your opinion. It's like it's in the scene in the movies where the officer does the interrogating part, and then you must not screw up or else you're gonna get in trouble. Stare and pretend what I'm doing. That's me 90% of the time. I don't know. Chess never. No, the chess and the Rubik's Cube are two things that never really clicked in my head. I don't know why. What other Asian communities do you have, Kim? From Japanese, Thai, South Korea. What do you mean? The only real Asian centric platform that I'm at is Red Note, Xiaohongshu. Nothing fancy. Now, I read something about the architect earlier. Now, what was that? INTJ, a rare, strategic, and visionary individual characterized by introversion, intuitiveness, thinking, and judging traits. I definitely do not have a large social battery, despite me being a streamer, chat. It's 100% not plenty. What I mean, who else within these Asian communities know about your stream? I well, I've had a few handful of Japanese people say hello back then. There is definitely a lot of Filipinos, but the attention span isn't quite there. Thai, Singaporean, Indonesian, everything in whatnot in between. I have really yet to see Koreans. I wish. I don't have good social media reach, chat. There's a lot of people that like my posts, but barely any repost it. Right? I don't get the boost from a popular friend. Like, yes, big creators there. No, I don't exist to them. But that's completely fine. It's a dog eat dog world out there anyway. Hello, Emma.
Flirting with this disaster became me.
What's this? Guys, I found a way to charm Gabe. You keep him talking about himself because he's very fond and flamboyant about it. The quickest way to charm me is through typing exclamation point tip and giving me money. Why? Because I'm really frank about it. Who wouldn't put a smile on a guy's face if you throw a bunch of coins? No, but in all seriousness, you don't have to, but it's an option. Gab is very much a penny pincher, a frugal type of guy. I always make jokes about money being the most important thing in my life. Shiny, coins, glitter, sparkle. But that's not true. It's the second most important, the first one being health. How can one enjoy money when you are unhealthy, too frail to go about and spend? An axolotl, please. I know I look like I have gills, but these are not. How very dragon-like. You gotta be strong to enjoy the gold. Geb loves food and motorcycles. Correct. Correct. He likes the attention. That's this draconic, ain't full of the. I mean, I wonder why I'm streaming at all, so all eyes are centered here, right? No, chat, I want you to look at the empty spaces on your screen instead. The coins are all gone this month. Sadly, nothing to share. That's okay. I figured. No problem. It's totally the friendship and the company that matters. Mhm. You know, calling Gib a dragon's like calling a fly a dragonfly. The most recent video I posted would actually be me asking people, which do I fall under better? I think I fall under the lizard part of things. That's why I just call myself not a dragon. Despite me having draconic traits. Barely, actually. Are you a sea dragon, Kevin? What's your favorite ancient coin? A sea dragon? Oh, no, I'm not aquatic. I am anything but. Water is probably my weakness. More the shocking variety. Thank you, Kanami. And Geb loves us, says Emma. Especially you. Vesper can attest to that, right?
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Now, where were we? Use the cop-out term reptilian. You know what? Reptilian, yes. Mark Zuckerberg is totally one of my peers. So successful. His big funny social media website. Trying a little too hard while answering old wrinkly judges in court though. Nice changes you did to her model. She looks nicer than before. See, I read Vesper looks better. Totally agree. Oh, I'm not
Not the
wearing my
same
boots.
base, but I still think it's beautiful.
There we go. Super cool, right? I would share everything I can. I just cannot do coins anymore for now. Understandable. Besides, there's always January, right? I'm just joking. Don't worry about it. The Mao on the Zuckerberg. You know, I think the guy just needs to embrace his true self. Don't you think? Of course, just joking. It's not like it's gonna grow shorter by an inch, you know, every month that the well is dry. Oh dear, oh my. Oh, absolutely, kid. What is your element? I don't know. Take a guess. It's that thingy mabob. Sorry, camera. Ah. I can do the funny if I poke your monitor. It's gonna bzz for a little bit.
Please don't fry my monitor.
I am not going to fry your monitor. Don't worry about it. It's new anyway. You just bought it, what, 2 months ago? A month? Yes. You see, Vesper has new hardware. It's just absolutely spoiled by it.
I mean,
Let-
yeah, I went from.
Yeah?
Sorry. Sorry to say, I went from being Quest Pro on strictly like a Quest from late 2023 to November of 2024. Then I was on a laptop with an eGPU. However, that still screamed in agony, especially with the fact that, well, March of last year, I also got a headset with face tracking as well. So I figured, oh, you know what? We've got to save up for a better PC. So I think it was October this year, shortly after my birthday, that we started assembling my computer. Now I've got it. Things are running nice and smooth. I've got new trackers. Life's good.
Everything Vesper just said. Guess who had to go through the headache of thinking of what to buy,
Guiding me.
helping how to assemble for
Mhm.
8 hours on a video. Anyway, hi, I'm Kim. I'm tech support.
Tech support and someone who is very sweet enough to consider all that for me, okay?
Flattering, absolute flattering. Did treat me to some lasagna though, so can't say no to that.
What's wrong with saying thank you?
Thank you in the form of money, yes. So sweet. What's this? Let's just say the month was not easy, replies Fluffy to Wask. Pray then, now that you brought about the topic, what were the little roadblocks, hiccups, and challenges you faced, possibly? I am curious. Also, hello, Howler. Of course. Bye bye. I have to go for now. Have a very good pre New Year. You have a very good pre New Year too, Maximus. Bye. Dragonic says, I was going to say electric. Feels like you do like egg shin from the beginning of Big Trouble in Little China. I say like everyone has seen that movie. That is such a familiar title. I don't remember if I've watched it. Oh, yeah. No, understandable. You know, I thought you were going to say, you know what? It actually happened, Gib. My clutch, it burned out, and I was just so ashamed I didn't want to tell you about it. Or you know what? There was a little gremlin of a kid. He opened my oil cap, and then he decided to put some rocks inside, because it would be funny. But aluminum everywhere. But understandable, Fluffy. Happy New Year in advance, as Anubis. Thanks. You too. I'm glad you're still here. Now, depending on how well the stream does, this is not for you guys on the widescreen land. I'm talking to the one in Portrait land. Depending on how well the stream goes is if I'm going to continue doing this from January onwards. This is more of a trial run to see how things are. Gives me a good impression, then maybe I'll persist here. If not, you can find me where I originally said I was only going to be. Oh no, not the rocks, right? The rocks. Or hey, let's dump my little sugary candies inside. That'll be funny. Put some nerds, you know, or like M&Ms. Why, if it isn't Zerda, greetings. You have done a lot last stream, and I'm thankful for that. Though I can't promise if I'm going to be here still after today. Because it's the end of the holidays. I was only supposed to pop by Christmas and on New Year's. Excuse me. Electrica, think about it. If one is a lightning element, isn't that just a variation of the fire element? Fire is still a base element. Or is lightning a base element on its own? We're talking about dragons here. But maybe magic. Ooh. I'm still awake, don't worry. It's just a yawn. Doesn't mean I'm going to conk out in 5 minutes. Still very much present. You know what? I have not checked the Discord. Let's see how it is. Okay, Mr. Fart. I'm looking at Ardelope's meme. Oh my gosh. That's funny. Broccoli, hard boiled egg, and what is that?
Probably unseasoned chicken.
Unseasoned chicken. I'm glad I could finally catch you live, says Nicole. Love the vibe, it's so chill. Hey, you know what? It sends a particular tingle up my heart whenever I see people that come from one of my reels. But yes, welcome to the live version of what I do. I find random things to yap about. You know, it always makes me wonder. Does water turn bad? Or rather, how long before water that you've drank straight from a bottle turns bad? And think about it, Vesper. You know when you open a bottle of water, right? Like say a liter, and then you drink, close it again. How many days is it gonna be before it turns into a petri dish full of bacteria and whatnot?
Well, it depends. Like, do you just, like, say if it's an open glass of water and it's just been sitting out overnight, yeah, it's pretty much a petri dish now. But it also
Right?
depends on the cleanliness of your home, the environment around you,
More
how well filtered your water is, and all that.
No, let's say it's purified water, right? Filtered and great, reverse osmosis, completely safe water. Now, upon contact with your lips, your mouth, inadvertently bacteria is going to start spreading, right? And you've seen how fast these things multiply. How long before it actually turns bad, right? Where the water tastes funny and when the water starts to make you sick. Is it a day? Is it two? Is it dependent on the temperature?
There's
A
a
few
lot
days,
of
isn't
factors
it?
going in onto that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, a few days at least. Like, my general rule of thumb is I don't really keep water bottles, at least
More than
like
a day.
Yeah, more than a day.
Water bottle.
No
I
more
shall
than a
self
day.
hydrate. Oh, you saw? Thank you, Silas. I didn't see that.
And as for my water bottle, I'll fill up with water throughout the day, and then at least once a day I'll wash it,
Mm-hmm.
just to prevent any bacterial growth and all that.
Yeah. I see. Dependent on the temperature, water composition, and how much air is in the water. How much air? Are we talking about the aerobic and anaerobic bacteria sort of deal? Hmm. I see, I see. You just need to open your mouth extra wide and pour it into it. That is actually a proper drinking method. Whenever I go ask a friend, like, hey man, can I have can I try whatever you're drinking? And it's a bottle. I would like, I would air drink it. Just make sure the water doesn't splash in my face and go into my mouth.
I don't
instead.
think air drinking is exactly all that safe because of the whole back swig from someone drinking it, like it touching their lips and all that. Their saliva's still in the drink.
At least your saliva is not contributed to their drink, right?
I know, but at the same time, theirs is going to yours.
So are you saying you're not gonna share a drink with me?
I would.
Case closed, chat.
I just wouldn't share it with a stranger.
Why would I ask from a stranger? That's gross. Of course
or
not.
friend.
Yeah, like a friend I'm sorry. Friend to me is like somebody I know, right?
Yeah, known versus, say, like lunch table friend. Hell no.
Oh, heck no. We don't know what they've been putting in that mouth, right? Ugh. Oh, the
Yeah, unless
portfolio
I
of
know
sausages
someone,
they've
it's just,
eaten. No, pass. It looks like I'm cold. Yeah, because of the outdoor setting. Back in the day, it was called water falling, according to Grand Dragonix. Water falling, I see. Nord says his water coming from a deep hole on the ground. He tests it every 3 years, and after a few times, I get a base of how well it behaves over the seasons. Ah, I see. With me, I get the city tap, and I run it through like a 7-stage filter, and that's what I drink. I will never drink straight from the tap. That's it. Because one, you have to take into account the piping that the water goes through, and all sorts of crap you can't see. Great. A lot of people here in the
Good for you.
Philippines also don't drink filtered water. But me, I'm paranoid about what I put into my body. I will not drink unfiltered water. That's the best part. Good old asbestos pipe. Yes. Reverse osmosis, promise. That's the secret. I cannot promise my presence in VR chat tomorrow, though. I will actually be talking to other people outside. Air so cold. So how's your New Year's Eve gonna look like? Lackluster. I was hoping I could ride up to the mountains to this one particular spot. It's to the east of the city. It's overlooking the main city where I am, and then I was wondering what it would look like when it's alight by fireworks. Would have been fantastic. Yes, hello V. Welcome to the stream. It's a New Year's special, that's why I'm here. No, more of a holiday thing, because this is the third stream in a row I've done again. Itchy. What? Sounds like a dream, right? An actual dream. Maybe next year. Imagine. Yeah, imagine. Next year, most definitely. Speaking of next year, I may have something in store for everyone. Nothing major, but it's definitely going to be a change of pace. In a good way. Another year single for me, so staying home alone. Congratulations on enjoying your solitude. I will probably, aside from eating and chatting with the neighbors, uh, video games. Always with the video games. Play, play, play. Cabin Fever Pro Max. Vesper, if you would be so kind.
Mm-hmm.
Last face you'll ever see, Chan. Probably gonna be on the VR chat with friends as Dragonix. Well, nothing wrong with that.
Don't be weird.
Like the little Vesper cutscene. Now, Zerda says they've never minded being single. It's not like I've lost all my friends. Precisely. No, sure, there are things you can't just have readily available being single, but it also offers a lot of freedom to go explore and do things. Meet new faces, new conversations to tell and share. New year, new bike. Wask, you probably need to lend me one of your bikes so I can ride it. I don't go crazy, right? It's getting really bad. Anyway, I'm managing. I lost my ability to type straight. I see. Well, how about you go focus and finish what you're doing first, Mr. Nord, and you can come back. Dark Car says, I have my horde of Yu-Gi-Oh cards to keep me company. That's fantastic. I'm good on you, champ. It says, what's your favorite video game or favorite game? Video game. I like any game in which I can make my own character, or at least customize how the protagonist looks. And there has to be an RPG system, stats, skills to learn, to grind. Drops have to be percentage based, right? You have to hunt a monster either 10,000 times or get lucky on your first for that rare sword to drop. My favorite. What's this? Now, where were we? Always on the how many minute mark. What's this? Pick up the call. That was my inactivity timer. Sorry. Apparently, streams are so lackluster. A certain application thinks I'm not streaming at all. Gosh. Don't waste our bandwidth. Move, do something. Be like all the other streamers that have the boring full body camera and just doing this. Hi, chat. Ugh, boring. What's this? I'll probably be busy comforting the dog during fireworks. I remember being with a friend's dog in a friend's place where their dog was scared during New Year. And then she made this thing called a thunder shirt, right? It's just a shirt that goes around, crossed around the back. Do you know what that is, Vesper?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I know what that is.
Your mic sounds super
we
far.
bought one of those for
There we go.
Oh.
Okay.
There we go. Is that better? So my
100%.
childhood dog, she would get
Zerda, thank you.
really scared and anxious when the
Mhm.
or there was fireworks or a storm going on.
Right.
So we just bought one of those ones from a pet store.
Oh, there's pre-made ones. Okay.
Yeah, there's pre-made ones. So basically, it's just Velcro in a softer material that you just sort of wrap around the dog. It's like the pressure of a
Burrito.
hug.
Ah. You know
Makes
how
me calm.
chihuahuas, when you lift them,
Mhm.
right? And then they do this. They do the little swimming. the little swimming in the air thing. Why do they do that? What? Like the small dogs.
Mhm.
Because I thought about it when you said like the gesture of a hug, like the feeling. And then they do the little the little air paddles.
Mm. Maggie doesn't do it. I know that for a fact. Because she will literally put her paws on your hip whenever you pick her up.
Oh. Just like that. Or like the bottom paws on the hip. Okay.
Yeah, bottom paws on the hip. Top paws are just, you know,
Well,
little weird dog.
Was says he has a old clunky scrambler of a moped which might be a restoration project soon or sold. But he can lend to me. I will take anything that runs on gas at this point. The little Honda Dio 50cc ones. Oh, those are such charming little objects. Man. What's this? A universe. Wow. Hello, Gib and Vesper. Hello, Bombar. And here's Vesper. Let's say hello.
Hello.
Greetings. Welcome. Last time I checked your stream, you mentioned that you were having problems on having chat overlays open, right? I figured it would be very easy to set up using XSO overlay. You just have to have a floating window in front of you. Then again, while you're flying, that's when I think, like, how does this guy keep up with chat when he's in constant motion all around the map? I'm doing good, thank you. You should thank Zerda for keeping me here. They're the anchor. You know, one thing that makes me really happy is my friend. He's been my friend for since 2009. 2009 is how many years ago? That's 16 years ago. He's been my friend for 16 years. And he just got his first motorcycle. I think I'm more excited about the bike that he got than he is. He got this Motobi, Benelli Motobi. It's a 200cc cruiser. My friend is not blessed vertically, unfortunately. He's only like, I don't know, 5'1". So it would be very fitting for his stature. The thing is, the bike is located over at his hometown and he has to bring it back to the city, which involves like a day's worth of being on a ferry and then an overland travel of a lot of hours. And I said, you know what? I actually envy you because this first journey you're gonna have, this first trek, is gonna be your pilgrimage for the bike. It's gonna be quite an adventure. He said, yeah, man. Gonna find, like, it's like the rite of passage of finally being a man. We were laughing and whatnot. I'm so excited to see his bike. Totally gonna ride it around. Yeah, how about you? I get you an Uber, you go home. You leave the bike at my place. Don't worry about it. I'll pay for the gas. He can't ride the whole way because he is on an island separate from mine. He literally has to cross an ocean. Now, Bomber says, it's a bit disorienting, yes. Also, only having one monitor hooked up, so real estate. I only have one monitor as well. Just ride it through the ocean. Obviously, right? Like a banana boat. It just has to put the little floaty things on the left and right. Yes. Totally excited to see. Will I finally have a riding buddy after all these years? Combine boat with motorcycle. Motorboat. You know, we have that here. The jet skis with wheels. Weird mishmash. Motocompo. Oh, yeah. I know that's like this little rectangular thing from Honda, right? And then I wanna say I want it, but I don't think I'm gonna fit riding such a small little moped. Dragon says, I went to a Harley dealer a while back looking to get into riding myself. I'm 6'3" and the guy at the dealership recommended a 1200cc. Keep in mind all workers at Harley dealers are always vets of the road, at least in the States. I see. Hell yeah, brother. Now only carbureted bikes for me. Chrome get you home, brother. Well, what's all these blacked out bikes nowadays? Yeah. I can imagine. I can already hear how they sound in the Harley dealership. Chrome get you home. They're the Mr. Bean version of motorcycles. I remember. So one of my friends, he owns a motorcycle training school, right? So he teaches off-road motocross. He's a coach. He's a riding coach. He also teaches little kids. So in his garage, he has these little Yamaha PG, I forgot what it was. It was the 50cc dirt bikes. It's so small. It's a pocket bike. And I sat on it. I ride on it. I loved it. He was both disappointed and really amused at me after he just saw me just going just going around the track. Mind you, I'm 6'1", okay? The bike was only like this. It was so fun. Your American impressionist killer. I don't know. You gotta have the handlebar mustache and then the like the bandana, the vest, and then the beer gut. 100% gotta have the beer gut. You have a convincing American accent. I don't know. What's this? Those are adorable if one could call them. So, heck, just a little brick you could put in your car. That'd be so nice. Just a foldable little bike, right? Are Harleys common over there? Is it a special? It actually is pretty common here. And you know what? the riders, they try so hard to look like the American cruiser riders. Black vest, right? And whatever color they want to represent, like the patches and such. No sleeves at all. The macho man black sunglasses, red bandana, jeans probably ripped, and then they got like the weird boots and whatnot. And just I am not joking. It's funny. Thank you, Omega.
Probably sitting there dying because of how hot it is.
Yeah, you did just like that, And then in the in the stoplight, they're gonna look at you. It vibrates so much. It's so funny.
I don't feel bad for their backs.
But you know what? I kind of dig it. I want to ride a cruiser because it's a cruiser without the damn high bars. It's just like this, right? It's actually very comfortable. You have your feet forward position, right? Just like this. Hell yeah, brother. It's so funny. They go off the stereotype of Harley riders. 100%. Some of them, like they ride the Indian motorcycles, right? They gotta have the tassels. There's the tassels here on the end of the handlebars. And the seat has tassels too, the little dangly bits.
Oh my god, like those streamers on like the little kids' bikes.
Yeah. Except it's like big, huge motorcycles. It's like white and chrome, and it has like white wall wheels. Mm-hmm. In Jane.
I can just imagine the hilarity of having a black bike with flame painted all over it, and then you just look at the handlebars, right? It's those pink It's like
it's
those pink glittery tassels.
That's gonna be my bike. I'm just gonna have fun with it. I'm gonna look for a wheel with 3 colors, right? You know, the one used for the little bikes. Yes, ape hanger, Zerda. So you see them with that. Get back. Look, these riders, they're all... Look, the young Harley cruiser riders here start off as scrambler riders. Retro, right? They have the yellow cowhide gloves, the retro helmet, with we have to wear the goggles inside, it's open face. Mm-hmm. And then as they get older, as their body starts to go into decline, they have the more beer they imbibe, they transition over to the Harleys, right? They start to assume like the cruiser posture and whatnot. I unfortunately went the other way around. I started with scramblers too because they're badass, bro. And they're not stupid looking. Now I'm going to the adventure motorcycle segment. No, not a Starbucks rider like the GS ones, but I'm aiming to get the Africa Twin, right? So I really want to go off the beaten path. River crossing, silt, mud, mountainous terrain, all sorts of fun stuff. Big love for enduro. Accurate, classic American biker 100%. Spot on. Mm-hmm. I want to see Matthew ride the Harley. Oh no, that's what he likes. Howler, you need to ask him. I remember having this motorcycle talk with him. You need to you need to hear his opinion about it when he doesn't suffer from the Alzheimer's. Scramblers are so cool, says Fluffy. I really want to go that route at some point. Scramblers are... It's just the perfect blend of everything except rain protection, because you're gonna ride around. That mud is going to like rooster tail. You're gonna look like a skunk, Pepe Le Pew, from that line of mud in your back. I think it's what's the phrase? Form over function. Oh yeah, now that I'm thinking about it, says Bumper, I remember seeing a lot of Harley cosplayers in Japan with the crazy decked out bikes. Okay, the Harley cosplayers, those are funny. But you know what's super cool in Japan? The Bozozoku, the biker gangs, man. Sure, they're outlawed now and they're barely there. But they still have the little competitions, right? And the aesthetics is still there, the stupidly high cowling and everything. And then the seats that just go above your head with the backrest. In the competitions, the little meetups, they do this thing where they do boom, 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 boom. They have to make a melody, a signature melody tone song of their group, I believe. And they gotta do it properly with just using the throttle of their bike. It's so nice. The Bozozokos are so badass, especially the real ones, the outfits. Have you watched Tokyo Revengers? Pick up a thing or two from that anime. Ultimate delinquent brotherhood. Well, they're pretty much goons, but you only live once, right? The freaking sail on front of the bike. Yep, where the cowling of their headlight is up here, offset. Mud never hurt nobody. That's true. Luffy says, oh yeah, for sure. Though if I am riding in the rain with mine, then I won't get home clean either. Whole back's gonna be full of dirt. It's really like that. You can't hide the wheel that's oversized for the rim and definitely oriented for off-road, right? You ain't gonna cover that on a scrambler. No, sir. Do it before it's too late. When I sell my bike, maybe, depending on what I feel. Man. All this bike talk, it makes me happy, chat. It does make me happy. Oh, it makes me... I miss the times where I was riding, right? And then you would meet fellow bikers on a stop, a scenic view, or maybe just a coffee shop, a little restaurant or resto bar in the mountains. And then all of you would be like friends, except the social class, whatever. But most, like 90% of them are really nice. And you're like brothers on the road. And then we would like instantly dork out and talk about our travels. There's young people, there's like the really old people and they're rich. Geb and his live at 4 a.m. That is true, it is 4:18 a.m. Last day of the year, chat. Last day of the year.
With your eyes, I see in hers too. Now
Honestly, I find it funny when Asian countries try to out-American the Americans. Oh, the Japanese one. The impression that the Japanese have of the Americans is really comically funny. And I love it. I hope it never changes. The whole G.I. Joe.
Just or like Uncle Sam type
Yeah,
stuff.
oh,
you know?
Uncle Sam, yeah.
I'm not gonna
Huh.
be sitting here walking around with a ridiculous top hat, you know.
almost touching it will almost
Is doing some biking video something you'd be interested in? Or is it too turning your hobbies into your content. Oh, absolutely. But we have one problem, Bambar. I ain't got no wheels. It's you know, if you've noticed, my stream said Chasing Dreams, day 31, 32, right? It stopped at 32 because it's gonna be 33 again starting January. That would be the amount of streams I'm counting, where I'm actually, until I get the bike that I'm after. Yes, little motivator. Greetings from Ireland and Jim.
Have a good start of the year, boss. Greetings from Ireland and Jim.
Thank you, Matthew. Glad to have you for more than a year now. My goodness. November, huh? It's unbearably hot here in Brazil. Big old J not giving you enough shade? Maybe he needs to angle against the sun. I'm just joking. Hot weather is terrible. Matthew getting those gains, right? As an American, I find it funny too. It is. I'm glad you find it funny. So many people out there so sensitive. Oh, that's cultural appropriation. Oh, get the heck out of here.
I mean, for the United States, what cultural appropriation, you know? They're literally a culmination of God knows how many cultures at this point. Because, well, it's not like everyone who is here now had family members who were here in the early 1800s.
I have this meme, right? Like, get out of our land, get out of our land. And then it's like the next one was the Native Americans. Where it was the white guy. The white guy's like, shit. It's so fun. It's an old meme. I need to find it. I could send pics on the Discord group. Oh yeah, of course, Matthew. By all means. And then you gotta have a picture, Matthew, right? You're hanging off the bars, and then you have like 200 kilograms strapped to your ankles, right? That's around 400 pounds or 350. And then they're gonna have like that back straightening thing. Scoliosis begun. If that doesn't straighten him out, I don't know what would. Short of that Chinese stretch chair that I posted. I love people mocking American stereotypes. They're hilarious. It's funny. Especially this orange fellow. It's Vesper's favorite. Now
My God, I hate him.
I could go on talk about Prince. I won't even. It's an old meme, sir, but it checks out. I miss the old memes. They were actually funny. Ah. Oh my god. There we go, Wask. Yup, those high bars. What the heck is that? The shower? Sky bars. So he's just holding his bike that high. Oh my god. Geb, clap your hands. What? You want to see me do the funny sparking thing again? I can show you more for a price. These things. Well. You gotta charge them, obviously. Pan, charge, E. Dragonis goes, I agree on hot weather. My late father and I always said, cold weather I can bundle up as much as I need to keep warm. Hot weather, there's only so much I could take off before it becomes public indecency. In the Philippines, you are going to find guys without tops all the time. All the time, if they cannot afford air conditioning. It's completely normal to walk by the streets and there's shirtless people. Strange because we don't have like bikini free beaches here now that I think about it. So we're really lax when it comes to that. But when it comes to other matters, we're really prudish. Guess gonna be 70 going to flea market selling ancient USB thumbsticks. You know what's funny? I still have the memes and everything that I've been saving from over like 10 years ago. They're all still in my hard drive. An ancient collection, along with the manga and the stuff that I, find interesting. Hopefully only in the summer, right, Anubis? It's either really hot or the rain starts to pour. Terrible. That's worth a fortune. They're never scrubbing that out of the internet. But I am having hope. It's rekindled. Go to Instagram. Look at all of the funny videos there. It reminds me of the good old internet, right? Where things are wild and free and delightfully offensive. Now, all I see on Twitter is like passive-aggressive hits towards, political teams and this and that. Like, where's the rage guy memes, right? Or Bad Luck Brian. Please tell me you know who Bad Luck Brian is. You see, the golden era of the internet to me, well, the height of it before it came crashing down, was when Filthy Frank was still making videos. No, Papa Franco. Hello, Satan. Zerda, keeping the stream afloat. My goodness. Here I was about to click the funny red button called End Live. Just joking. You have been MIA for a long, long while. 4 months? 9gag. Oh, 9gag. Oh my goodness. Ever heard of that website, Vesper? 9gag.
Nope.
I am so sad right now. Yep. I'm just gonna give you your avatar files and then we're good. We're clean. You don't know 9gag. She doesn't know the old memes, chat. Oh no. Oh my god.
Doesn't mean I don't intend to check it out though.
You not know the old memes?
I'm not that old. That's the thing.
Which is just salt in the wound. Not that old, chat.
Neither are you.
4chan. 4chan, yes.
Oh no,
it still
4chan.
persists until now. I love how 4chan is just the collective force of the internet and they can make things happen.
There's good and there's bad, and then there's the try-hard evil of 4chan.
E-Bombs World. Yep. I was still watching College Humor and whatnot back then. Epic rap battles of history. Could go on. That was the golden era. Yeah. Isn't Filthy Frank that's Joji? Yeah, it's him. That's the thing, though. He was a very business minded about it. Damn it. What was your first computer? An actual personal computer? I was borrowing my sister's compact laptop. It had the laggiest system ever. I had to press this funny red little button, right? So the mouse would move around and there's trails. But the first actual thing I owned was it was an AMD Sempron green CPU box. I had like 512 MB of RAM. I thought that was the shit. And my video card was the the Voodoo 3? No, it was the Nvidia Reva TNT2. It was, wow, that's old. He can't see our chat. 100% I can't. Maybe, perchance.
Depends on which one he's focusing on for the moment.
Oh, classic TNT2, perfect for Quake. Man, when I played first the Unreal Tournament, I think 2004 was it? It was epic. Like what? Joji used to make us laugh. Now he just makes us cry. Right? He's just adapting to the times. You see, a lot of people, millennials, right? They're turning into doomers per se. We've come to terms that we're not going to achieve that American dream where we have a house by like 30 something and that's enough to sustain kids. And yeah, no, we're gonna work 9 to 5 until the day we die. Yeah, I've completely resigned my hopes to ever having a house. If it happens, that's a miracle. I unfortunately do not have generational wealth of any form, like a business to pass down or this and that, an old house to give me. No, I'm an exile in the family. I am very much on my own. And lucky are those that are sitting on their laurels, right? They have all the good things going for them. If you have a house, consider yourself lucky. God damn. Consider yourself so lucky. My favorite artist once said, went to bed with the American dream but woke up in Night America. Yeah. Well, life's tough. And the older folks saying, you know, when I was your age, I had this and that. Well, it was a different time. Old man. With some really low tier job, you could easily afford a house. Now, you have to work double jobs just to have anything decent. Leaves you with money. Does it leave you with energy or time? No. I used to walk to school in the snow. I used to cross 5 rivers, 18 kilometers, just so I could, get to my 7 a.m. class. Yeah, the parents usually exaggerate their tales.
Yeah. Like my mom, whenever I say, oh, hey, can you leave me alone for 10 minutes? I just got home from work. I worked 2 jobs since I was 16.
Then invalidates your struggle, right? Because they went through it too, sort of deal. I absolutely loathe parents like that.
I'm a cashier. I spent past 6 hours standing in one spot, scanning groceries for hours on end, and lifting bags and hanging them over to
She
customers.
doesn't get a chair, chat. She stands the entire time. Damn. At least when I was in my office work, I had a chair. I was sitting all day. Too many facts. Flexing struggles like those kinds of parents is actually crazy. Never understood the mentality of, I suffered so you can suffer too. It's the opposite, right? As a parent, your suffering should not be passed on to your kids. You teach them to be responsible and stand on their own. You don't pummel them into the ground with the difficulties and challenges you had as well. If you're able to provide them with a better life and means for it. But if you end up with a brat of a kid, by all means, they deserve to go sleep outside in a dog kennel. I've seen kids just be absolutely spoiled brats. They have no sense of gratitude. The parents don't know how to discipline them, doesn't know how to say no. And that's where the problem arises. I am worried about the next generation of kids that get raised that way, where they get everything that they want. I grew up to be a model citizen, yes, because I was whooped into shape. The beatings were tantalizing. But that's exaggerating, man. Tablet kids. I am so scared for the iPad kids. They will not get anywhere in life. They will get to 0 places at all. You see, they're intelligent. They know how to use tech, but they have no street smarts at all. Nothing.
No social smarts either. I mean,
That too.
I've been working as a cashier for like 2 years now, right? I've seen kids come and go, screaming out about one thing or another, screaming at their parents, or like ignoring everything else in the world and just focusing in on their iPad. It's just... wow, kid. I mean, if it keeps you out of trouble, I guess at the same time, like... at least I'd get my ass dragged back to the car for misbehaving in the supermarket rather than, well, sitting there the entire time staring at a screen.
Precisely. But then again, critically think of the situation. Why are the kids offered so much access to these devices? Because the parents, today's parents are the millennials, right? Today's parents have such little time, energy, and capacity for themselves that they resort to something quick and easy, which is just giving kid infinite entertainment to their little digital device so they can do things on their own. You see the dilemma of how bad economy can affect things? So most people have to work double jobs or like always do overtime. Of course, they will just cave in. All right, here you go. Just watch YouTube, watch your Baby Shark and whatnot. I think Daddy needs to rest. He's tired from working all day. And then that's where the bad stuff happens. New babies growing up with AI slop are gonna be a whole new level of messed up when they grow up. Yeah. Damn it, Matthew, I hear it. Yes?
I've already heard so many horror stories about teachers having to teach iPad kids to, like, throwing stuff, screaming, yelling. Behavior that would not fly back when I was in elementary and all that. I would have gotten my butt dragged to the principal's office. An administration would have, well, gotten my parents' tail about my own behavior. Now that slides? That's fine? That's acceptable? No.
No.
The whole, oh, my kid would never do that. They're a little angel mindset is just,
Little angel.
it was so far and few then, and it's now getting more and more common because, oh, my kid couldn't have possibly thrown a desk at the teacher for telling him to put his iPad away. That's happening now.
Yeah, it's such a sad thing, isn't it, Chan? Oh. The last generation to experience life without internet. Every generation past that is... Gosh. Well, kids, good luck to you out there. I hope your lessons are learned quickly and not harshly. Bombar says, those devices hide so much of how computers actually work that I find they don't really know as much tech as they should given the usage. Dumb for idiots UI and everything, yes, completely agree. Bad kids equals bad parents most of the time. Agree. Sometimes I wonder what will happen to those iPad brats we see everywhere. All hope is lost. Oh, we can see them already. They're socially inept in public. Most of these iPad kids, they're now in the Discord. They have zero social, what's the proper thing? Like, cannot read social cues at all and whatnot. They're the ones that would walk into the room and things are awkward. Hey guys, what's going on? Oh yeah, by the way, in Roblox, this and that, blah blah blah. Oh, is that a skit? You know, they're overly enthusiastic about something, but they were never welcomed in the first place. They will shoehorn themselves into the conversation and whatnot. Everybody is gonna feel awkward. They're still gonna go on. They cannot read a room. And that is the kind of individuals I boot out of my server. If you cannot read a room, you start typing crap in general you know nobody cares about, you're just after attention, but you've never been active before, that's not the place for you, pal. What's this? Dragon says, I mean, we all want to give our eventual kids no kids for me. I'm a genetic dead end. But going on, we all want to give our kids, you know, better than we did, but agree they need to be taught the old-fashioned way. That's another thing I think. Using a device like an iPad as a glorified babysitter should be illegal. Fundamentals of human interaction. That's what's lacking. The internet has changed so much because the parents that make the iPad kids are too lazy to use the parental settings. We're so incredibly lucky to grow up on the cusp of the pre and post tech world, experiencing both. Now I have a rough estimate on how old I am, Chan. They're not taught regulations, says Batty Silence. Healthy attachment or how consequences work. Consequences is the number one lesson that a lot of kids don't miss. That's why they end up being entitled little brats when they grow up. My mother agrees with you on the kids' education game. Let them go out, play with dirt, you know, just play with other kids that aren't tethered to social media at the age of 8. Genetic dead end is amazing. That is what I am. The end of a bloodline. The last page of a book. Please. Kids ain't for me. Ain't for Vesper either, right?
Absolutely not. Because I'm someone who actually values her own personal time. So if I'm stuck around people for too long, I'm going to lose my mind. A child, I would lose that time. I would absolutely lose my mind. So, nope. No thank you. Plus, if there's another me running around, let's be honest, that's pure hell. No.
I'm good.
No.
Now, Pascal goes, not only iPad kids, I've met a bunch of 18 and 20-year-olds who don't know how to behave or have basic social interactions. Exactly. They're so socially retarded, right? They're inept. They're so held back, stunted. Because they never really had the exposure to other people or human interactions. It takes them a while to catch up, and then again, will they actually gain self-awareness, self-realization of their current state? That's why a lot of people that I encounter that are socially inept, I tell them straight, like, hey, you know you're kind of butting in the conversation, right? Nobody asked, yet you said. The good news is, says Batty, the pendulum always swings. Hopefully, or rather eventually, we'll go from lesser to loose parenting to more hard and stable. A lot of folk are putting in hard effort to raising kids out there. I applaud them. I've seen a video recently on Instagram. It was a dad teaching his kid how to bike. The kid crashed and said, "No, you're okay. It'll hurt, but you'll recover. Come on, let's try again, champ." Right? No, oh, baby boo boo, come here. Oh, we never bike again. Okay. Like, no, you raise your kids to be tough, to be proper, to anticipate problems and crashes that they will later encounter in life. All that said, says Bamba, I've met a lot of, what's this? Younger adults that are very aware of how bad all these things are growing up, as well as social media algorithms, etc. So they're not all ignorant, or at least finding out later their childhood was not ideal. I don't know, Geb, says Waffle. Maybe 10 to 15 years from now, maybe there's a little Geb running around. I wouldn't be surprised if there's a little Geb running around presently, all grown up. Maybe 2, 3, or 5. Oh my god. I was never a fan of the funny balloon. Anyway, moving on. No kids for me, says Matthew. I have a niece, and good heavens. I know, I cannot. Jay Satik has been raised with an actual childhood and not relied on devices, yes.
Good.
I was thinking of getting kids is gonna slow down a lot in our generation, says Fluffy. I decided for myself that I never want any, but apparently it doesn't. A lot of old schoolmates and such have kids now. Same. All of my batchmates in my high school, they're all married with kids doing the typical posting on social media. Here is the biggest blessing I've received in my life. All praise mighty Space King, right? And then they're all growing bald. It's such a facade. It's so artificial. Are they truly free, or convincing themselves that they're content?
Yes, a blessing that
happy.
screams, pukes, poops, and drools.
Right? There are some who genuinely want kids, and I can
Gross.
see the love. But so many of my friends, they're miserable. They hate it. And they're just pretending that they're okay. Hello, Doran. Ah, yes, watch my trackers do the funny. Come on, the line. What's this? I cannot stand the rules, says Vesper over here. Excrement upchuck. What's upchuck?
You know how little kids are. They're gonna sit there and all of a sudden.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah. No, thank you. They should all become lizards on the internet. Yes, completely. Right? I came out of my egg completely sentient and smart already with fifth grader level education. Yep. Did you guys go to Cosmatsu earlier? Nope. Not a big fan of going to cons. Not with the heat in our country. But yes, hello, Stratsky. Welcome. Athena style. He sprung fully formed from his egg. Yes. Dragons in the Philippines. What a sight to see. Magandang umaga, kababayan. No aircon, no gebas. No deodorant, no gebas. I've been through cons where the air was so thick with pervasive body odor, you could slice it with a butter knife. And that's disgusting. Pascal says, I've accepted my fate to be the drunk uncle who's used as an example. Same here, I'll just be the cool big brother or uncle in the stories. And I'm completely okay with that. Would you rather change diapers or feed a baby? I would rather no, but the feeding part. Oh, here's the airplane. There you go. Right? Do you see the quality of this 3D VTuber stuff? They live good. Live good or live good? Gotta be more clear with that statement. Geb was not squished in the egg. I can only imagine what that smelled like. Geb doing 9/11 jokes while feeding his niece and nephew. Okay, you two, alright? I will call you Tower 1 and Tower 2, alright? Niece and nephew. Here's the airplane. Oh, it lost control.
Oh my God.
Oh my God. Do not do that joke, okay? That was an example of what not to do. Here, have some Vesper to cleanse the palate. Yes.
I took the opportunity and used it for evil.
Here's the other airplane coming for Tower 2. There you go. Eating your banana mush thing. Ah, yes. And then, after eating, obviously they gotta hydrate. All right, now who's ready for the juice? I got grape and mango. the juice, right? Fruit juice. Truly a Geb stream. From a normal topic straight to 9/11. I was just talking about how to feed a niece and nephew as if I were the uncle. Alright. I have one bar of Kit Kat here. And only one of you can have it. But it's not up to me to determine who does. And then you just put
Oh my
a
God.
plastic bat. May the odds be ever in your favor. And then you just watch them like go beat each other and everything. With the toy.
Man,
Mhm.
I'd be a bad aunt. I'm gonna be honest.
I would
I-
too.
I straight up don't like being around kids. All right, I don't like teach them to. I teach them to cuss. I give them caffeine and a bunch of sugar, and then send them back to their parents. You know,
Mhm.
be the asshole auntie.
Look, I would be the fun uncle, right? It's I know they're gonna get attached to me 100% because I'm gonna sneak in and actually spoil them with things. Mhm. Hey, come here, look. Don't tell your dad, okay? Oh, it's so big, ain't it? Oh, yeah. What? No, it's baby shark. Yeah?
Fishing.
Coco melon. Yeah, coco melons, all right. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yes. All right. Then we're gonna continue watching.
Oh my god.
I would so get booted out of the house so quick. Yes. And then, like, oh yeah, no, I'll take care of your kid. Yeah. And then once the dad comes back, like my pal and everything, so groceries coming out of his sedan or his hatchback, he's just gonna see like his kid, like just see me. All right, now twist the throttle. Yeah, there you go. Now let go of the oh, hey, what's up? Yeah, we're just, letting him feel the engine and everything. So yeah, I would be a great uncle or big brother. But as a dad, pass.
Pass.
Twist the throttle all the way and then let go of the clutch, okay? And then they crash into the sofa. And then the kids just go into the debris. That was awesome! Thanks.
Man.
It's so funny.
It's just, oh yes, kids are indestructible. Tell that
Yeah,
to
they're
the gym
indestructible.
that I failed to jump over.
I see. Perfect life advice, yep. Oh. Best Tito ever. So we're gonna climb on top of the house, like day 2, right, of babysitting. Hey, we're gonna use the pool, okay? Yeah, don't worry. Go buy your groceries. Take your time, right? We're fine. It's like, okay, go. Let's go to the roof, yeah? All right, and then we're like at the roof. All right. You gotta lead by example, right? So before you dive off,
Oh.
yeah, before you cannonball into the pool, right?
Oh no. Oh.
There's so much I'd teach. Then again, these will be the memories that the kid will probably cherish forever, though, if you think about it. Especially if they grow up in a very strict household, most importantly. Oh my goodness. You gotta leave a good impression. Leave some good in this world before you go, right? Oh, things are good. Don't worry. Chopagos, I remember my most fun early. Also, thank you, Starswolf. My most fun early memory was when I was 6 and my mom has a lot of cousins. And they used me as a volleyball to pass around in the deep part of the ocean. And I remember it's so fun till somebody caught me by my feet. So when you're small, you are most definitely going to be used as a projectile to be thrown around. Yep.
Yeah, I was there at the Christmas Eve party. My aunt had her youngest on the floor crawling around. He kept trying to get into dangerous situations, so she would just grab him by the ankle and you're not going there. Come on.
Man. There we go. There's Matthew. Heck yeah.
Should I tell the chat about the story you know about me and my friend in the neighborhood? The summer water balloon war.
The balloon war? No, don't you say it in VR chat. They have to hear it in person for the visualizations, for everything to be seen. Also, by the way, thank you everybody who's been supporting me for the galaxies and the whatnot. It's I know everybody's tight this Christmas season, especially holidays. We've been buying gifts for ourselves, we've been buying gifts for other people, and most of all, we've been buying for family if you have any. So, this is the season to tighten the belts the most. But yes, thank you. I appreciate it. As to everybody in widescreen land, of course, thank you as well for the subscription. And what else happened? Thank you, Matthew. I just want to make sure the gratitude has been given. It needs the authentic accent while being told. The accent of what? So Doran's working on a ref sheet. There's the Nova based template. Are you guys usually active in this time, or I'm just lucky? Both, actually. This is my usual stream schedule, Power. But I'm not sure how much I can persist on this particular place you're watching me from. You'll usually find me in a place which has a wider aspect ratio. Rhymes with itch. Man. Why, hello, Lux. Pleasure to see you. Bombargus. Oh, I looked up about partner stuff. Was curious about the Plus program and it's for affiliates as well. So I think the main benefit of partner is front page access and the purple check. I see. Will I ever get partner? I don't know. How do the other streamers do it? They have this funny partner push where they sell their souls. They leave themselves at the mercy of their chat. Ah, yes, I will stream for 24 hours straight. Let's do that partner push. Watch me as I burn out live.
There's a girl here, and she's all
If we get there, we get there.
almost
One day. I don't know. I don't like faking it to make it, especially with people. Faking gratitude. I like telling a lot of white lies for the sake of comedy, but faking gratitude, for example, it's irksome. It's not something you should do. Only burnouts allowed are bike burnouts. Correct. Geb, no burning out. It's hot enough where you are. Lux knows me well. The weather here is a big unknown no Reno. It's December. It's just so hot. But you, Bombar, seeing as you cater more to the atypical furry crowd, especially with Cinder by your side, most definitely will hit partners sooner than you think. I know you got this.
there's a part of me that's always
Bike burnouts, how do those work? Front wheel doesn't move, rear wheel moves in place. Matthew goes, I was born in the heat. It cannot be that bad. I think you need to come here to my country. Let's ride motorcycles together. We're fun.
almost you.
Well, hello and welcome to the stream. I'm gonna go now. Hope you got you guys again. I'll see you around, Power. Magandang umaga. Darts later. Thanks. Oh, if it isn't sweet corn, welcome back. It doesn't move properly, yes. You purposely keep the bike on front brake while the rear wheel freely spins. When you have a bike again, fat chance. When you have a bike again, we need to be on intercom together, talking and joking around. One of the biggest things I look forward to. I'll just be on Discord riding. So yeah, I'm off in the mountains. So I kind of overshot and I'm at the base of a ravine. Yeah, I'm okay. I'm that will stitch back together. Yeah. I like your voice. It's so melodic. Where are you from? I am from the Philippines. That's a country in Southeast Asia. Island nation. Lots of traffic, good people, and even better food. I'm going to melt the moment I hit the Philippines. That's why we're gonna have you wheeled in like in a suit, like a space suit, until I can like airlock you into my apartment.
AKA just grab an umbrella, hold it over my head, and just pray for the best.
I still use an umbrella though. When I walk outside, it's common that I have an umbrella, right? So here I am, right? Just have my umbrella. Hello. There's nothing wrong with having an umbrella. I think if anything, it's really practical. What? Hold on. Oh, too much. There we go. What trackers do you use? I use Vibe 3.0s. Errands. Who's gonna do errands? I'll see you around, Bombar. Bye. Man, I didn't see his thing. How many trackers? I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I have 8 in total. But you can get away with 3, promise. I just like sitting in 4K. I feel like if I step out of the plane, my feet will turn into charcoal. No walking barefoot here, that's for sure. Especially in, yeah. I actually advise to use UV Protect. There's UV Protect umbrellas? I need to look at that at Shopee right now before I forget. No, I'm gonna write it down. UV Protect umbrellas. Why did I not think of that? Ta-da! There you go. Double belt fan. There we go. I have to write that into my notes. Arriving in the Philippines, be like, yes. Any fun plans for New Year's? Nothing really. Fox goes, I remember when I was younger, a lot of the Asian population used to use parasols or umbrellas during sunny weather for shade. I thought it was smart. 100%. Nothing wrong with using one. You need more than that. Oh, I go out with sunblock when it's really bad. You will not find me walking outside for extended periods of time without my belt fan. So I have 2 belt fans, right? So these are little power banks essentially with fans on them, turbines, and they blow air inside my shirt. And your shirt is clipped outside of it. Well, it's clipped to your bed. It's such a practical thing to have. I use those for my first, right? It's such a big help. Because having cloth stick onto your skin when you're drenched in sweat is... I bet. What country are you from, Sagan? Or is it Sagan? Because I cannot imagine wearing a fursuit in Philippine weather. 40 degrees Celsius days, 42, 100% humidity. Yikes. Shoppa says, in our culture...
Yeah. Sorry.
In our culture, back in the Spanish colonization, a lot of women used to use parasols because apparently back then, the sun wasn't as harsh. Of course, on top of that, the women were wearing layers and layers of clothing. That's true. We had very thick woven clothing back then, and it was, well, the ozone layer is not as thick as it was. Probably. You were saying, Vesper?
Sorry about that. As I was trying to say, like, I can imagine why Geb wouldn't go to furry cons in the Philippines anyways, because you mentioned the imagine wearing suits in the Philippines, right?
Mm-hmm.
Con buildings probably don't have the best AC.
Not the best, definitely.
Is it not worn, or it's not effective?
It loses efficacy really quick.
Yeah. No. Mm-mm.
So yeah. Megaplex is the best AC. I see. Sagan says, I'm from the USA, Florida. It gets 40 degrees Celsius here and 100% humidity. Hey, just like here. So you know how bad it is. Hello, Fenar. Greetings. To see you on the live is surprising. Usually you're always just in my comment section. I thought you said you don't like watching streamers. Like you didn't see that point. Hello, so. It's rough. It's horrendous, that's what. Axel says, a lot of foreigners at my school walk around with parasols. Rarely see someone from the States walking around with one here. Ah, well, I'm glad people are practical now. Another Floridian on the clock app. Yes, another Floridian. Where are you from, brother? Again, somewhere in Metro Manila. $26 to $29, no siree, Xiaopao. 26 to 29 is our cold months. What are you talking about? Lucky you have 8 degrees Celsius weather, Axel. How hot does it get there? Pretty damn hot. 40 plus. It's really bad. It's super bad. It's super bad and toasty. It gets negative 20 degrees here, where I'm at. I would rather have that. Temperature extremes. Here it's like maybe 28 when it's cold, and then 40 when it's not. Negative 20, damn. Snow, huh? My wife spent some time in Manila as a child, maybe first and second grade. She told me the temps. You would know how hot it is then. Thank you, Super Candy. And so is your comment. Highest I think was 48, which was 5 years ago and was put on the news. Oh, when it was actually 48? Oh my god, that was ridiculous. It's as if our ACs weren't working. I noticed you've had improvements on your avatar this year and it looks amazing, by the way. Wow, thank you. I moved from being a Nova Beast to being a weird Volper to being a weird Hydra Gia that you see before you. Manila, don't even bother going there unless you want to see Luneta Park. Look, you only go to Manila if you want to have nice cheap food or you want to hang out with me. Okay, maybe not cheap food, but there's good food here. Hybrids are the best, that's true. Oh yeah, Makati, right. Lots of good food here, promise. I never get tired of saying.
Yeah, I bet.
Gotta go get my haircut. See ya. Have a good stream. Good luck,
okay.
Axel. Enjoy. Man, Axel's gonna go to one of his Brazilian waxes again, huh? Gosh, gotta make sure it's nice and smooth, you know, like German roads, smooth. I have a tiger hybrid on VR and it catches attention. Made by a friend in the Philippines. Hey, that looks great. Philippine friend, huh? I don't know much content creators in VR chat. That's from my country. Um, can you perchance share the name? Maybe I've bumped into him. Hello, Fluffy. I didn't know you were still there. Right, silky smooth. Ah. No need to. Like, how was your day? It's doing okay. I'm a bit hungry. I have a small serving of pasta remaining. I'll probably eat after stream. What's this? I'll see you around. Oh yeah, and Vesp got a rest of the. Okay. See you around, Choppa. Bye. Thanks for dropping
Bye
by.
bye.
Here's Vesper for you.
Sleep well.
Ah, damn, chat. It's already almost ended the stream. I I gotta go. Next time you see me, it's gonna be 2026. Pretty uneventful end of the year, if I may say so myself. Huh. Most people have nice big parties, shebangs, and whatnot. I have a quiet transition into the next year. I'll see you around, Sagan. Thank you. Happy New Year for you when it is. Of course. See you too, Lux. Do you watch anime? A bit. Big fan of anything isekai or the year. No, I can't do that, Gab. Oh, I said, yeah, I watch a bunch of anime. No VR chattering or hanging out with the buds. I believe everybody's busy doing their own thing. I would not wish to impose upon people. So I will still be here in VR chat though, after streams as per usual. But as for New Year, I don't know. Let's see. Some of us aren't busy every day. This week is very low key, right? Peacefully mellow, I guess. Not so bad. Happy New Year. Almost. Advance Happy New Year. Carnival Cruise, huh? Nice. Hello, Blake. I hope your IRL buddies will drag you somewhere. IRL buddies? I only have like a handful of people. They're all busy too. Hey, don't get me wrong. I'm not complaining that they're busy, alright? I'm not sad or anything. I'm just stating that they are all caught up with life. I'd swing by after stream, but I got plans to play Schedule 1 with a new friend. Of course. You go, don't get caught. Make a lot of money, Salas. You know what? Let's just see it through. Less than 10 minutes, chat. Hello, Texas. What is with their colors? Until what? Until I go. End the stream, that is.
And the
Let's
guy's
see.
gotta eat.
Yeah, gotta eat. Wow. My god, almost everybody in the Twitch channels just last stream before the end of the year. Yep. Don't mind me, I'm just looking. Oh, my day is going okay. Sorry, I'm just browsing through things. What's this? At least you didn't get anyone saying, see you next year. I mean, technically, it would be next year. They wouldn't be wrong. I never get caught. So we can depend on Salis here as an accomplice to things if we need to get away from being discovered. Whoa, okay. Oh, gosh. It's time, and it's time again. Thus concludes today's hangout with Vesper saying the goodbyes.
All right. Bye, chat. Stay safe. Stay hydrated. And be sure to eat and sleep plenty.
Saying goodbyes for 60 seconds.
Oh, wow. Okay. 60 seconds.
I'm just
Well,
joking.
you sort of whatever the heck you need out. Huh.
Yes, I gotta go to chat. I'll catch you. I'll see you next year, all right? For those of you that drop by, it's nice to see you again. You know who you are. Also, of course, Anubis, Fenar, everybody else. Say again, I don't know if they're there anymore. Zerda probably did. And my chat. Yes, my chat. Hold on. One moment. Yeah, where's the thing? Where's the thing? I gotta click it. Oh, it's obscured. Wait. Nice. Okay, where were we? Huh, finally. Finally, I can sort the camera there. Right. Sally says, I know, but it's so cheesy. And yes, of course, I'm also called away with some totally not criminal assistance. Oh my. I'll take you up on that offer then. But alas, yes, we shall go depart. I didn't know Litzo's still there. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and Happy New Year, everyone. Peacefully uneventful, right? Glad to have you. Will I still be streaming next year? Of course. What kind of question is that?
I mean, hey, I have fun here. So dope.
I mean, of course, yeah, definitely gonna be streaming still. I just wanted to let chat have a moment of hesitation. But we're starting to stall. Hey, we're gonna be going, okay? We're gonna be going. Bye-bye. See ya. Fare thee well. Happy New Year, everyone.